For such a well-known environment, there aren't as many digital depictions of Australia in games as you may think. There are lots of games where the location is implied to be Australia, but it's surprisingly rare to see well-known Australian landmarks pop up in a game's world. Friday the 26th of January is Australia Day, so I thought it would be fun to take a brief look at one of my favourite representations of Australia. It's a bit of an odd one though, so strap yourself in. We're going to take a look at the Outback track from Need for Speed 2. The flyover shows a coastal environment with a city on one side and beautiful blue water on the other. As you make your way out of the grid and into the city itself, you pass by a series of buildings until taking a long right-hand turn around the Sydney Opera House. This leads you into a much denser city area, where the track is flanked on both sides by tall buildings and office blocks. You can't see the water anymore, but the bright blue sky does a good job of reminding you that it's probably still pretty hot outside. After clearing the urban area, you're led through a tunnel seemingly carved into a large rock. This must be some sort of magic tunnel, because when you emerge a couple of seconds later, you're seemingly in the middle of the Australian outback, complete with red dust and wide open spaces. After making your way through what appears to be a tiny country town, you fly down the open road until suddenly Uluru appears on the horizon. This would indicate that you're now driving through Alice Springs in the Northern Territory. That's around 2,836 kilometres, or 1,762 miles, away from the Sydney Opera House. Hey, like I said, magic tunnel. Don't question it. There's no time to gawk, because the wide road suddenly contracts and the walls close in. You have to negotiate a brief section of narrow twists and turns, made all the more difficult if any of the other racers are close by. Finally, you and the other racers are funneled back onto the bridge where you started. I'm not 100% sure, but this could well be an interpretation of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. The PlayStation's limited polygon count makes it a little bit hard to tell though. All in all, this is a really fun track that's unmistakably Australian. Sure, it's a strange, contracted version of it, but when you look past the warping of the space-time continuum, it's actually a more faithful representation of the country than most other games of the time. So if you've got some time on the 26th, pull out a copy of Need for Speed 2 and take a spin around the Outback.